It is Friday, January 28th in the NBA, and I'm back with my 4 best picks of the day, including 3 player props and 1 spread pick. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot. Let's get into a quick recap from yesterday, a 1-1 day, just losing a little bit of juice. Best thing, our best bet of the day did hit Otto Porter Jr. under 9.5 rebounds. No sweat bet, he ends with just 6. Joel Embiid has a good game, doesn't hit his over in PRAs. We move on. If you are new to the Calling Our Shot channel, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. We appreciate you guys for coming out and watching the video. Can't do it without you guys, and we can't keep growing. We have almost closing in on 22,000 subscribers, so we appreciate you guys. Drop a like if you want, and comment your best bet down below. I'm curious what you guys got for Friday's NBA slate. You guys normally find some gems, so we appreciate it. Number 3, we have 3 more notes. Number 1, I already told you guys about this cool BetMGM promo. It is on the screen, but if there are more details in the description, you want to use that link, we definitely appreciate it. BetMGM, one of the cooler books that I use. We have a cool sign-up bonus with them. Number 2, our podcast was posted a couple days ago. If you want to go check that out, we'd appreciate it. We thought it was one of our best podcasts yet. We talked about the conference championship games this weekend in the NFL. We talked about a couple other things, so definitely go check that out. Also linked down below. Number 3, probably the most important, our conference championship best bets in the NFL are live on the channel. We have 1 player prop, 1 spreader over under pick, and 1 dart throw same game parlay in both the Bengals and Chiefs and the 49ers and Rams game. So definitely check them out. Both are linked down below. They were posted last night. Player prop lines are starting to move, so definitely go check those out before it's too late. The lines might move by game time, but definitely go check it out. I appreciate it. Let's get into a best bet of the day. Been on a pretty good run. Turn the whole segment around. We're going with the man that has a frequent flyer to the program, Dejounte Murray. I hope I pronounced it right. Over 37.5 PRAs, minus 115 on Caesars. Now, if you had to take an individual line for Mr. Murray, I'd lean his over in assists per usual. 8.5 juiced, 9.5 fine with me. Now, Murray, one of the best guys at filling up the stat sheet. I believe the line was 37.5 on almost every single book that I saw. Now, Murray and the Spurs are going to take on the Bulls today. More on that in a second. Now, Murray has been a beast all season long, but over his last 5 games, combined for 37, 33, 40, 47, and 47 PRAs. Now, he has gone under in 2 straight games. Why? 1 was a blowout. He played 24 minutes, had 33 PRAs. If he plays his normal 37, 38 minutes, he easily hits it. Number 2, it was a game against the Grizzlies where he was harassing John Morant, but he also shot 5 for 27, just 29% from the field, finishing on the hook. Now, if that happens, that's fine. I mean, the shot attempts were there. He just didn't knock them down to make or miss league. Now, look, we're taking on the Chicago Bulls, which we already know, very solid matchup. They're down their 2 perimeter guards that are very good at defending in terms of Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball. Now, these 2 teams obviously don't play each other a ton, so not really good like, oh, this is how Murray does against the Bulls. Not necessarily, but we also got to think about what do they have in the middle. Nikola Vucevic, a guy that's not really going to block a lot of shots, not a lot of rim protection. Now, if you recall, a couple days ago, my best bet of the day was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 24.5 points. Why did we take him? Because this is a guy that leads the league in drives. More on that in a little bit, but also a guy that's going to get to the cup and he's going to lay it in over Nikola Vucevic. What did he do? He proved us right, making us look smart for once, scoring 31 points. But the biggest part, he chipped in 10 assists and 3 rebounds for 44 PRAs, which would have cashed this line for Murray. Now, obviously, Shai is a better scorer than Dejounte Murray. That doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that. Now, Murray's still good in his own regard, but also Murray is a much more capable and willing passer. If we look at SGA, he's still got 10 assists, and he's a much better rebounder as well. Now, when we think about the Bulls, they might also have Nikola Vucevic standing on the 3-point line, checking up some threes. Maybe we get some extra rebounds for Murray. Either way, he's one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA that we have. I think he'll be able to get it done. So we're taking this over 37.5 PRAs. Now this over-under for this game is 229. Very high scoring game, and the spread's only 1.5 points. So it should be high scoring, should be a close game. That's all we're asking for. Over these last 5 games, Murray's averaged 20.2 assist chances and 15.6 rebound chances for 35.8 rebound plus assist chances. Basically this line. So if he cashes 100% of those, it's going to hit this line by itself, but I think I have faith in him, and I think it will hit his best bet of the day, Dejounte Murray, over 37.5 PRAs. Now, before I get into another player or another spread, my spread pick of the day, let's go to a defensive player prop. We don't take a lot of these. We took one of these a couple weeks ago, and it's the same guy. Robert Williams, I'm taking his over 1.5 blocks, minus 140 on Caesars. Now, this was minus 140 on Caesars, minus 140 on DraftKings. I know some books don't have blocks or steals, really, but you can go check the next player prop, whatever you want. But listen up. This is what we got from Williams. Now, last time we took his prop, we took his over steals plus blocks. And while that cashed easily, I think he had 7 or 8 in that game, we're not taking steals this time. We're just taking his blocks because the Hawks aren't a team that turns the ball over much. Actually, they commit the fewest turnovers per game in the NBA. Now, Williams, on the other hand, is known for being a shot blocker. This is a guy that averages, I believe, the 4th most blocks in the league at 2.1 per game. He's been on a bit of a tear recently. He has 2+ blocks in 4 straight games, 2+ blocks in 13 of his last 15 games. Like I said, He's the shot blocker. If you come in the paint, he's going to jump and he's going to try to block you. Hopefully he doesn't get into foul trouble. Now, Robert Williams has played the Hawks before, but he's never played them when he's been starting. Now, if you look at Robert Williams, he's playing like 27, 35 minutes a game. Well, he's never played that many minutes against this Hawks team, but he has played them 5 times in his career. He's had 1 block in every single game. He's had games of 2, 4, and 5 blocks, and yet he's never played more than 19 minutes. Most of these games are playing like 14. He's played 9 minutes. He's played 15, 14. He hasn't played a ton of minutes, but if he gets his normal minutes. So let's talk about just what he's done, his track record. He's played 74 career minutes against the Hawks. They've always had Trae Young active. 74 minutes. In those 74 minutes, 13 blocks. So that's averaging roughly 0.175 blocks per minute. And so if he plays his usual 30 minutes of playing time, that would be roughly 5.27 blocks. Yeah, I'm not anticipating Robert Williams to get 5 blocks tonight, but I'm just saying the proof's in the pudding, and I think he's got a good chance to get those 2+ blocks. The Hawks are near the top of the league in terms of drives per game at over 45 per game, something like the top 10 of the NBA, so they're going to try to get in there. He should be able to get a couple blocks. Plus, we've also got to think about it. He'll be guarding Clint Capella. Well, yeah, spoiler, Clint Capella doesn't have much of an offensive game besides just setting screens, and so you'll start to see Robert Williams kind of chilling in the paint. So we'll take Robert Williams over 1.5 blocks. Lay the juice on it. I think he's got a good chance to hit this one, so we'll take his block props. I love it. And maybe a parlay leg, although I do not encourage parlays. Now let's move on to my spread pick of the day. I'm going to stay in the same game. I'm taking the Celtics plus 2.5, minus 110 on BetMGM now. Feel free to take the money line here if you want. I believe it's like plus 115-ish on some books, but I'm going to lay the couple points. I'm going to take the couple points they're giving me. Now the Celtics are taking on the Hawks like we already talked about. They're in Atlanta today, and Atlanta has turned it around. Now they've lost 5 straight games, and now they've won 5 straight games. Now they are getting a little bit healthier than they have been over that past stretch. Now the Celtics haven't been terrible either. They won 2 straight, won 7 of their last 10 games as well. Now, the Hawks used to be the best team in the NBA covering at home, but since like November, they've been really bad. But they still are decent. They're not the best, not the worst either. But I don't mind taking the Celtics money line here, like I said. Now, these 2 teams did play earlier this season. It was back in Boston, TD Garden. The Hawks did win that game by 11 points, but it also is worth noting Jaylen Brown was inactive that day. And I'd argue that their second best player being active or inactive is probably a pretty big thing. Now, the Celtics in recent years have had turnover, but they've had the Hawks number. They have won 8 of the last 11 games versus the Atlanta Hawks. And I think that over that 11-game spread, I just like the Celtics a little bit more in this matchup. Now, on the season, Boston 23, 24, and 2 against the spread. Atlanta 20 and 27 against the spread. So not necessarily a big difference. On the road for the Boston Celtics, they're 12, 10, and 1 against the spread. Not the best, but at the home for the Atlanta Hawks, they're 11 and 12. So not a big edge here, but at the end of the day, I think it comes down to which team plays better defense, and argue the Celtics are the clear better defensive team in this one. Obviously, with Horford and Williams man in the paint, I think they could make the Hawks have to shoot a bunch of threes. We also look at the Hawks who just welcomed back a ton of players into the lineup, and that could show a little bit of chemistry. Now, that didn't show any sort of chemistry against the Kings, but let's be honest, it's the Sacramento Kings. They stink. They beat them by, 17, 20 points. That was also a team the Celtics just destroyed by 50 points. So I like the defense of the Celtics anchored by Horford and Williams to get it done today. We'll take the Celtics plus the 2.5 points. Don't mind taking their money line either. We're out with the Celtics plus 2.5, which pains me as a Knicks fan, but we'll be taking them. Now let's move on to my last player prop of the day, although we might have another one added down below, so definitely go check out the pinned comment. We'll wait on a couple lines. Probably will take an under, but you guys know I don't like taking unders early on in the day. Last one, it's a guy we already mentioned, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, over 31.5 points plus assists, minus 110 on Caesars. Now, this is the same line on DraftKings, Caesars, FanDuel, PointsBet. So I'm all in. Hopefully the line doesn't change for you guys as the car goes crazy outside. But look, SGA's been very kind to the community, and we're asking them to be very kind again today against the Indiana Pacers. Now, I'm taking points plus assists for a good reason, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because I think we have a decent edge on his assist line. We'll talk about that in a second. But look, if you're going to take an individual stat, probably lean towards his points because it's going to be hard for SGA to not hit his points, but also hit this line. Although he could drop 24, 25 points and like 8 to 7 assists, and that could cash this, but points is probably the safer bet. Now, look, we're just talking about the Pacers who they played today. They just give up 158 points. And while I don't expect them to manage to give up 158 to the Thunder, this over-under is still 217 points, so a decently high-scoring game. And look, I believe this is, I got to say congratulations to the Thunder. This should be the 3rd game this season where they are favored. Yeah, not a team that gets favored a whole lot, so let's see how they pan out for the people. Now, in the most recent games, we've seen point guards rip up the Pacers' defense just to shreds. We obviously saw LaMelo Ball play just, 29 minutes, had 29 points and 13 assists. Cash in this. Devontae Graham, who has not had a good season, been struggling all season long, 25 points and 6 assists. Game before that, Chris Paul, 18 points, 16 assists. Game before that, Stephen Curry, 39 points and 8 assists. Look, None of these guys are really exactly carbon copies of SGA. It's hard really to have a carbon copy because SGA, like we've talked about previously in videos, leads the league in drives per game at over 24 per game. In the past 10 games, if you look at the people that have gotten to the cup against Indiana Pacers, they've had pretty good games, shooting above 50% in pretty much all of them. And look, none of those guys in the recent 10 games against the Pacers have driven more than 19 times. We obviously know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a demon. He always is driving. He's averaged 26 drives over his last 10 games. And all of those guys that drove against the Pacers have scored pretty willingly over SGA's last 8 games, which we haven't even talked about his performance. He's had 41, 35, 35, 20, 39, 28, 42, and 40 points plus assists. This is a guy that could hit this over in just points alone, but look, he's been averaging a couple assists too. He's been averaging 5+ assists in all of his last 8 games, including 6+ in 7 of those 8, and 7+ in 5 of those 8 games. Over these past 8 games, he's been averaging 14.6 potential assists. I love him all today, and I think he's going to go over 31.5 points plus assists. So he's my last player prop of the video. If you look at the games he went under in that recent stretch I gave you, one was against the Cavaliers, where it's got elite rim protection, hard to score, and then the other one he shot 5 for 21. The shot attempts have been there. Love SGA to pile up the assists, pile up the points today, taking us over 31.5 points plus assists. So those are my 4 plays of the day. Might have another one linked down below. The 2 Sunday NFL best bets video for the Bengals versus Chiefs, 49ers versus Rams is on the screen. Go check those out. I would appreciate it. This has been Austin, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let's have a great and profitable Friday going into the weekend. Peace.